welcome to Laughing Monkey Music. Today we have a special guest. We have Brad. I'm a big fan of your vocals of Crash Test Dummies for years. And I want to say welcome to the show.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
joining.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you on. And I don't usually, do interviews this way, but it was really great to me. Your voice always to me, and no secret, I have autism on the show, is your voice was always like a friend's hug. Like I'd hear your
Oh,
voice. It was just, it's very uh like safe, comforting, feels good, you
oh, I'm
know.
so glad to hear that.
So
That's really
well,
nice. Nobody's ever said anything like that to me before.
I'm sure you've probably heard a lot, but it just if I hear your voice on radio, or I put an album on, any of your albums on, it's always like it just feels good. It's comforting. It's because of your lyrics. It's gotten to a point where people finally understand you, that you're not a comic band. You're much more observant, satire type of an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a place
Yeah,
for everybody,
I
but
I, I think we are a little more on the satiric side than we are on the jokey side. Our first single was a big hit in Canada, though not in America, called Superman Song, and that was a fairly political song, actually. Although
Mhm.
nobody really talked about it in those terms at the time.
No, they're all concerned about Grundy. And I was like, finally, someone's throwing his name out there so we know who he is. I was
when
like,
I
I
was
didn't know anybody else that knew that name besides me.
when I was a little kid, I got this comic with Superman fighting Solomon Grundy in it, and it scared the hell out of me. Solomon Grundy was a scary character to a 7-year-old boy.
Yeah, I remember him. That's a great name, too, if you think about it. Solomon Grundy, that's a power name.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's like a Wolf Blitzer and Solomon Grundy on tonight's CNN. Let's get that done. But those are powerful things. And then I observed they were smart. To me, it was like, I'm a fan of Frank Zappa, which is
Uh-huh.
also satire, but smart music and good songwriting. You get your point across, like, but a different way.
Yes, hopefully without hammering it to death, and hopefully by means that are a little more subtle than that. By the way, I know the listeners can't see this right now, but I'm looking at your wall of guitars,
Yes, sir.
and it's exactly like my apartment was set up before I moved. I had all my guitars on the wall. I feel like I'm looking into my own apartment. And you have a
Well,
Sunburst Strat there, it looks like.
I do. That's actually that is the bass you looked at, probably, right?
Oh,
Like,
no, you're right. Is it a P
that's
bass?
my daughter's J bass. So I started playing guitar. I was 54. It's like around 45. With autism, having YouTube, I can learn better because it's visual.
Uh-huh.
It made the whole world new for me. And my kids also played. Of course, they won't play with me, because it's too dorky. And which should always be your dream, right? And then my wife got tired of seeing guitars all around the house, so
Uh-huh.
she got real cool and hung them all up nicely for us.
Nice. She
Yeah,
sounds like my mechanically inclined wife who can do stuff like that, and I can't.
that's my wife. Yeah, she's like an engineer. She can plumb. She can do everything. I'm like, I can't do that. I can call somebody. You know, I can do some music stuff, but that's it. And I think people like us need people like them.
Yes,
That's the secret
certainly.
to our success.
Yep.
Yeah, it really is. What are you favoring for guitars at this point yourself?
I'm
Because you
trying.
are quite a player yourself, and kind of underrated
Well,
actually.
I I play a Fender Stratocaster, and that's really all I've ever played. I play an acoustic guitar too, but right now I hardly play any acoustic guitar in our sets, and so my main axe is my Strat.
But never try to mix up with different instruments. Like I always go back to my Aria Pro. I don't think you can see in the back wall there. I have a red Aria Pro. It's an 83.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
it's heavy. The Japanese one, like when they originally make it, they're originally, it's the
Yeah.
best. It's not the pegs aren't right. I can't, like the three string. It's a nightmare, but it's got the best sound.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Have you found yourself experimenting, like going, because you tour? I mean, when you're on tour, you're in a pawn shop, you're at a music store. Hey, not the guy pick up guitars to try them out.
I've grown so used to the Strat that I don't think I could play confidently on a different guitar. I, maybe in the studio I have gone there,
Hmm.
and used a bunch of different styles of guitars, but for live it's always just a Strat.
Well, it's also your sound. So I think if you go too far off your sound, people are gonna, you know,
Yeah,
it's the
exactly.
second sound you're known for besides your voice. Was great, I think, for you now, actually, especially in hindsight, because I knew you said in the past, when you were younger, you weren't able to sing certain songs. You're trying to question your voice because everyone's singing, during metal in the 80s, which I love rock. But if you can't sound like everybody else, it sounds like you're not the same or as good or whatever, But you truly found your voice in a way that if you sing and you write for yourself, that's how a lot of the best singers are. My favorite singers are sound differently. Now a lot of those singers that sing high as they get older, their
Yes.
voices aren't holding up anymore. Well, as you could be doing with your last breath, literally,
Yeah. Yes. No,
because of
it's
your vocal
true.
range.
I remember when I was going to vocal lessons as a young man, I took a few of them, not very many, not as many as I should have. But my teacher said to me, you know, uh, you're trying to sing too high, and that's not where the richness of your voice is. You're a bass baritone. So just get used to it and sing in that range. And that was the best advice he ever gave me. Because I was writing songs in the upper parts of my register to try
Hmm.
and have the vocal cut, and I just wasn't using the right part of my voice. There's a couple of tracks on our first record where I think I would pitch them differently now. I tried to write a lot of key signature changes into my songs, but to make them unobtrusive as possible, you know?
Unless you try to
And
learn it and play it.
and yeah.
Damn you, Roberts!
Yes, I've had that comment a few times.
I mean it with a good heart. Maybe unlike others. Unlike others. Um, but it shows as a songwriter, and it makes it fun as a listener. Um, Culturally, I think you probably was it probably in the maybe past 10 years. Have you noticed the resurgence of your band on a different level where economically your fan base is in a better spot, where touring and stuff is much more fun again? Like I think it
Yes.
was
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's kind of gone full circle, and nowadays we tour and we get a lot of people going out to our shows for nostalgic reasons, and so we give the people what they want.
Oh, I want to say a few things. I always think that most people, generically, not people like me, have podcasts and just for no money. I really just do it because I love music. So I'm just totally a nerd. But like other people, a lot of their music time they capture is like in their high school when they get their core memories, their brains are changing. They're going to college, they're getting their first jobs, their first relationships, their first traumas. But then when you go off to either college and or jobs and finances and families, next thing you know, you're in a minivan and it's like kids about 35 or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some other thing where it's self-sucking, and then you're like, oh, I used to listen to this band, and it brings them back. But then you're at a point now where I'm pretty close to your age, where all of a sudden these people like my kids are in their 20s now. Like so all of a sudden like a lot of people are like they got their economics have changed a little bit now. They own their houses, or they own this, or they're more settled, or they know their finances. They actually have a checkbook now. Some of these people, so it's easier to go back to shows and celebrate music again. You know, I think while it was a decline for music at a certain period, it was also a change for the audience kind of dipped out too. It wasn't just a bailing, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We sell a lot of merch on the road, and it makes a big
Hmm.
difference to our bottom line. So we're very grateful that our fans are a little more liquid these days because we do sell a lot of merch.
Which is
And
good, which is awesome. I encourage people that, in this show, the links will be below. Go to the site, buy the merch from the band, buy it from, if you can buy it from the site, buy it in the site. If you're at a show, buy as much from the show. So A, they don't have to take it back with them and get triple taxed and pay the gas to travel an extra large shirt or something around. But also they make more money if you can just buy it right from them directly without having to include other stuff. So I include that. I mean, I encourage that highly and buy merch, and merch. I mean albums too, and whatever they're selling. Um, that's important to keep a band going. But it's when you write something, it's so powerful. And I think you definitely have an audience that knows some of their other albums, even though they're not as big as your second album or even your first. I mean, they know the songs. You have a very dedicated following, you know.
Yes, I've noticed that people sing along to some fairly deep cuts on our at our tours,
Hmm.
which is very encouraging because of course, you know, to me they just go into the ether. I don't know how they've been received. So it's nice to hear people singing along.
Well, now as an artist, you could do, and I hate to use that word, the dirty word of streaming. I know that you can see what songs and albums are streamed more. I've heard
Hmm.
from a certain group, from a certain channel called I'm not gonna say the name, maybe rhymes with Audify. But you can you can see what people are streaming, and it might be some obscure song. Oh, bless you. Okay.
Yes, and I've checked in on our numbers, and Australia is our hottest market on Audify.
Really interesting. Interesting. Well, and because it's sometimes this topics like to me, like you had the song, like when I first heard you, it was like obviously I was the MTV generation. There's always so much music, but like once I heard you, I was like, oh my God, this is the best. And then I get the second album. Now,
I remember seeing Steve Earle in Montreal and thinking, you know, I think I could do this if I really put my mind to it. And that was a defining moment for me when I realized, oh, maybe I could do that.
are you playing guitar every day? Are you? I always like to ask artists like, are you playing it every day? Do you put your guitar down? Because some people just play all the time.
Yeah,
Some people play on tour. You know,
our, our guitar player plays all the time, and sometimes he even plays on tour. I don't touch my guitar unless I'm forced to play it. I'm
really.
Yes, I've got so bored with it and bored with myself, I think.
I'm there with you that one. I'm
I
with
do
myself, not with you.
I do enjoy playing though, like when we tour and I play
Hmm.
live, you know, I give it all I got and I really enjoy it.
Maybe it's time for a new instrument.
Yes. Well, I started taking classical piano lessons, but
Oh,
then I started taking composition of the composition of classical music, you know,
at the
that
same time.
at the same time, and then I ended up stopping with the piano lessons and continuing with the composition because it was more fun.
Okay, well, point is to learn, right? And to
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
So has the competition? I mean, so with learning that, has it changed your thought process at all?
Yeah, it has. It even changed the way I've written songs. We put out a song last year called Sacred Alphabet that's very
Hmm.
much influenced by that. All the moving musical lines are contrapuntally constructed, and uh,
Okay,
it's
I can, I
it's
can hear
really
that. Yeah.
yeah.
I like I love to hear that 'cause I love when I hear an artist like Neil Peart off the best drummer in the world. He's like, I'm taking drum lessons from somebody else because I'm just not feeling it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love that. That
Yeah.
the constant search to expand. You do it because you're
Hmm.
an artist. You just have to. You have to write songs because the rock gods tell you to.
Yes.
You can't not write a song. It's not about. I mean, digital downloads and everything else sucks, but like a lot of people are like, yeah, that does suck. The albums may suck, but I'm still writing songs because I just can't not, or I
Yeah.
can't think of ideas.
Yeah.
Is that a
I
problem
get
with you?
I get bored when I'm not being creative, and so yeah, it is a problem. But lately, I've been so taken up with trying to figure out classical music theory that I'm I'm not really writing a lot other than in that genre, and I don't know that it will end up that music will end up anywhere except maybe being played at a dinner party that I throw.
Well, you got the internet, and you can always just do your own little thing where you put it out there for. I know you
Yeah,
do other things like your chanting album and the music combine and combo,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
great. I think those are exciting things to do as an artist. You know,
yeah, yeah,
and a very
absolutely.
positive thing to do also that album. So kudos on that one. I like that. Um, the um the world right now obviously is pretty much on fire.
Yeah.
Is touring as much of a challenge like literally right now as it feels like it would be? Or are you able to just play the not hot zones, the not hot political areas, and kind of just kind of squeeze in and squeeze out. And I'm not looking for a political answer. I'm just saying, is it a challenge for an artist to just play for an audience and move on?
Um, no, not necessarily a problem to play for an audience and then move on, because that's what touring's all about. You do that every night for a different audience, and that I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But the politics are so hot that it's changed this border situation,
Yes.
and traveling is a lot more difficult, especially getting into the United States.
Just want to let you guys know, America loves you guys.
Thank you.
We're not all feeling all crazy feelings on all of us. A lot of us are like, we love you guys. So, yeah, this is a terror-free conversation, everybody. It's all about love.
Yeah.
We there's no borders here. Yeah, I can see that'd be a hard thing though. I mean, it's getting kind of weird. Like it must be like anybody not in this country would be better off not recommending. I'm saying probably be easier not playing right now around here to not deal with it just financially because the commitments of like visas and travel and rentals
Yes.
in an uncertain economic environment is enough to just wipe a band below the red in a minute, you know.
Exactly.
And that's a business. You have a mobile business model. So you can like wait it out and sell more tires next year. It's each tour depends on each tour, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a challenge. Hopefully, when everything is clear up a little bit differently, you'll be back, touring more in the States again. That would be good. I think because I want people to check it online. You do have a great website. It's actually, you guys keep up with it too, which some bands don't. Um, Usually it's nice. Got all the dates. You guys got some dates coming up in obviously Canada. And it looks like you guys are going over and doing some UK dates. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to the UK on Friday of next week,
Okay.
and we play a bunch of shows there for 2 or 3 weeks, I guess, and then we have a bunch of Canadian shows. And we don't have anything on the calendar for America right now.
Which is
But
probably okay. Probably okay. You
yeah.
got any talks about doing like a live album? Always being on the road and
I don't like live albums much.
okay.
I like making polished studio records, but I don't like I don't love my voice live, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm just not as consistent as I'd like to be. And listening to a bad vocal take that you've recorded one night
Mhm.
forever is hell.
Right. Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. I mean, I think you're probably harder on yourself than a lot of us though that aren't. Um, hearing you live at a lot of performances out there and listening to you on YouTube. You're live. That's the beauty of music. I mean, everything's AI and over musically generated and produced. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so great. The joke of you make a mistake live, you just do it two times and you did it on purpose. It's like it's live, man. You know what I mean? It's messy. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be bad, or have a mistake or be out of tune or the cable's done. I just saw a show the other night and right during ripping solo, uh, it was Jason Bonham's his Zeppelin tribute he does. Fred had tickets to it, and so I went down and guitar player was doing a great, the Jimmy Page solo for like "Livin' Lovin'." The whole place was up in arms, and I don't know if he hit a chord or something happened, but the sound just went out.
Oh,
That was
really?
live. That was live, and they got it back going again pretty fast. The guy was like, I mean, he was fantastic, and it just happens. You know, that's rock
Yeah.
and roll. But that's what I'm saying. It's like didn't take away from the show. I mean, the guitar player's like, oh my god, and he'll remember forever. But the rest
Yeah.
of us were like, but then everyone else was like, that was a good solo. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's always, beating on yourself about that. When touring, is there any like special ideas that you've had like with touring packages or like with other artists? I know you do a lot of stuff with like Lisa Loeb recently and the Rugrats, I believe, which is very genres, the 90s specific for your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. We do some 90 specific shows um, that's good for us, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But for the most part, we've been billing our shows as like anniversaries. So
Yeah.
right now we're on the 30th anniversary of God Shovel His Feet. And that's how we'll be presenting ourselves when we go to the UK on Friday.
Is it a challenge to do the songs all these years later? Some artists love it and some of them feel
Yeah.
it's fresh and some feel like, ugh.
You know, I I happen to like our big record quite a bit. I think it's one of our best ones.
Hmm.
And so I'm very happy to play that material today. And you know, people say to me, "Well, don't you get tired of playing the same material?" And the thing is, it's different. It's new for everybody at the show. It might not be new for me, but it's new for all the audience members. So
Yeah.
that puts life back into it for me.
I
Does that
mean,
make
that
sense?
make yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It sounds like it's you write a good song and you're proud of it. I can't see why you wouldn't. I mean, it's got so many good things attached to it. I always think about if you write a song that's like really, really sad about some tragedy in your life, and it becomes your big hit, and you have to sing it. Because I'm the kind of guy that always would feel emotions about it. I'm like,
Hmm.
man, my biggest thing is I have to feel the saddest thing in my life every single day. That would bum me out. But but songs like that you've written on that album and other songs are almost like coming to terms. They're like you those first couple albums, I mean, you were pretty mature with your lyrics and what you're going and even the composition. So it wasn't like you had like amateur hour with a couple hits. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You were kind of firing on all your cylinders right at the gate.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And we were lucky to have our second record be our big one because our first one was not the mature effort that it could have been. Well, no, that couldn't have been because it was our first effort.
Right.
Yeah.
It, God, but once again, it was a great first album though. Like it was not like shabby. You know what I mean? Like oh, be embarrassed by that's a good album. I still play it. I mean, it's good. You
Oh,
know,
thanks.
it still holds up. And I think that's the thing. I mean, and you more than else probably hears. I mean, probably hear more people than a lot of artists because of the songs you've written or your satire, your tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Being a philosophy, was it philosophy your major, your philosophy major, right? Or is it
Yeah,
English major?
I did a double major in philosophy and English literature actually.
Yeah, so it made sense when I remembered and I learned that back a while back. I was like, that makes sense. The lyrics.
Yeah. Well, I had just finished when I started writing those records, I had just finished reading a lot of poetry and philosophy, and so of course those things affected what I was writing a great deal. And you know, just learning to scan poems and deal with subject matter in a fairly brief format, such as the lyric, is an interesting challenge.
But you had something different. Was it growing up? Like where was it the tongue in cheek sarcasm from though? Was it a mom or dad? Was it just
Uh,
A Canadian thing? 'Cause I feel like all you guys are either good at fishing and or like hunting and have a musical talent. Like I feel like there's certain skill sets you guys are born with in that country.
yeah, well, and we were supposed to be born with hockey skills too, but I never had those either.
But
I
you have
do,
music. That's the other skill though. So I mean, but you guys, it's a hard country though. So I feel like sarcasm and tongue in cheek humor and awareness always feels to be strong in places in the world like that because when there's hardship, you kind of gotta thicken your skin or take a different look at things.
yeah, there's a strong tradition of Canadian comedy in the United States, interestingly enough,
Hmm.
that often comes through Second City and then SNL, or used to, anyways. That was the old
Great stuff.
path.
Yep.
And anyway, I don't know how I got talking about that.
No, but that's what the sarcasm and like because you have a tongue in cheek where it's like it goes to your lyrics, the satire of your lyrics, where you're
Yes,
making a
yes,
point, but you're not beating somebody up over the head. But it's also pretty sharp if you really listen to it. You're like, that's kind of heavy, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
That makes sense change, and I get that. But fans of my age still ask that, and the waterfall releases is what they call it nowadays. I'm sure they'll change it again. Doing the singles is it makes sense. I mean, if I was you, that's probably what I would do too. But you know, it's how the world goes. Uh, I want to thank you for being on the show. It's fantastic. I can catch up with you again, and maybe hopefully to see you in a year or so, or whatever economically happens with touring in the U.S. And you guys on your jaunts. That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, and take care, fans. Check out under the show the links. Support the band, support the tour, go to the merch. subscribe to their stuff and follow them. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Anytime.